Hello, my name is Bon Purdy, your host of Falcon Focus, the show that highlights everything Simmons College of Kentucky. I'm excited to have with me today our special guest, Mr. John Mays. He is the Director of Diversity and Inclusion with KFC US. Welcome, John.
Hey, well, thank you for having me, Vaughn. Really appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Good. We're going to talk with Mr. Mays, or John, about his career at KFC. So welcome to the show, and we're going to get right into it. So what I'd like to ask you is, how long have you been at KFC, and what brought you to KFC?
Oh, okay.
And for those audience who might be outside of the area and don't know what KFC is, would you tell them what KFC is?
Well, KFC is Kentucky Fried Chicken, for all those who don't know. And so I'm a restaurant industry person.
Okay.
And so I've been doing this, I've been in the restaurant industry for 21 years.
Wow.
You're just doing different jobs, doing different things. And so I came here from my last job. I got recruited. And I came here, and I was living in Sugar Land, Texas, which is, you know Sugar Land?
Texas, outside of Houston.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. But then my wife is from Louisville, Kentucky, right here in Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
34th and Larkwood, and we got an opportunity to come back
home
to a place where we had family around, and we hadn't previously had that. So it was like, hey, we got no other choice. We gotta come back, and then you get to work for the Colonel, the icon, the Colonel, and do some cool stuff. So that's how I came here.
So before the KFC, you were working with other food corporations?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with Cracker Barrel, Old Country Store.
Okay. Everybody knows Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, did that for 8 years, did a bunch of different things there.
Okay.
Before that, I worked with Old Charlie's, and which is another restaurant based out of Nashville, Tennessee.
So you moved around quite a bit.
I did. But I'm gonna tell you, we absolutely loved every single place. I would say Nashville is beautiful, and I'll tell you more about that. But I grew up in the D.C. area.
Okay.
And so I'm from Suitland, Maryland.
Okay.
And it's just one of the most beautiful places if you've ever been there. But Suitland, Maryland, it's just a wonderful place to be black.
I have seen Suitland, Maryland. I have friends, of course, in Silver Springs. In that area.
Yeah,
that's a good area.
All those areas. So, it's just beautiful. You see all sorts of different people, different demographics, but different types of culture. But the culture and the history, it all comes together in a special way in that area. So, it holds a special place in my heart. But I love Kentucky.
Well, good. We're lucky to have you back here. So tell us a little bit about your education. I understand you went to an HBCU.
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. So that's, probably why I got a heart for Simmons College in such a big way, is because I went to HBCU at Tennessee State University, undergraduate, graduate studies there in business. And it was probably one of the most significant experiences that I'd ever had, was just being in a community of all of these educators and all of these students and intellectuals, and academics, from all around the country, who were coming to this school, and they all cared, and we loved each other, and we had a good time. But you saw how different people in different areas, how they did things, how they talked, how they, how did they maneuver, and be able to negotiate their way through life. And so it was just a great experience, to go to Tennessee State.
So was that your first choice for a school, or you looked around?
It was, because they gave me the most money.
That's important. Same with me, with my alma mater as well.
Yeah.
So that's very, very, very important. But what would you say was the trigger to inspire your ambition at the HBCU? Was it there?
Yeah, you know what? I think the thing that inspired me the most, my mother went to HBCU. My mother went to Morgan State University.
Oh, yeah. Baltimore area.
Yeah, that's in Baltimore. And, she always told us wonderful, beautiful things about it, and so I was raised believing that was the way I wanted to go, was to go to HBCU. So I want to say that all I applied to was HBCUs.
Oh, good.
Just in different places, but I ended up going to Tennessee State University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that where you met your spouse as well?
It is. Okay. It is. Yeah. We met, and I'm so glad I got a chance to meet her.
Okay.
And so so we met in Nashville, and You know, it wasn't, I wouldn't say love at first sight. We dated for a while, and then after we both got out of school and I was finishing my graduate degree, and she has a degree in medical technology and a master's degree in medical administration. And so she came back for homecoming.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, homecoming. Yeah.
And then, you know, that was in 2005, and we've been inseparable ever since.
Oh, good. So tell our audience, what are in your mindset, the strengths of an HBCU?
You know, if I had to say, Vaughn, that's a good question. You know, it's because HBCUs are incredibly strong. And it's not just because of the high level of academic prowess and success of the leaders of the institution, you know, but it comes in the fact that people care about you.
Right.
And not only that, is they see you, and then you also see images of people who look like you,
exactly,
who are in positions, and then you see the difference in the way Black people move and operate. So you can form your identity in a more robust way. Like oftentimes, if you only around a small population of people, and then you start to form your identity, say, I'm kind of like this group, because in your mind, you condition that that's like that. But you know, when you go to HBCU, you see so many different types of people.
And so many choices.
Right, you get so many choices and so you get to basically find your tribe.
Exactly.
And like, this
That's
fits me,
way to put
that
it.
fits me. Okay, now I have a group who accepts me, and they see me for who I am. I mean, really see you.
Exactly.
And it makes it okay.
And you don't have to hold back on who you really
Right.
are. There's no,
Right.
what do they call it?
Code switching.
There you
Yeah, you
go.
don't have to code switch. You don't have to code switch.
You do not have to code
You don't have to.
switch in an HBCU.
Yeah. And so, you know, I remember I had braids. Yeah, I did. I had beautiful braids. You know, it was wonderful. You know, and so, and I had, you know, and I used to wear what was my first car? It was a 1979 Caprice Landau, 2 doors. And I had the big 12-inch subwoofers in the back with the amp. And it was all right.
See?
You know
exactly.
what I mean? But you were still viewed as an intellectual in the midst,
Exactly.
because people could see you.
Right, and they identify
Right.
you maybe through your car, but not in a demeaning way. They say, oh.
Right. And that's it. And it's like, you know, all those different stereotypes things that was conditioned out of us at HBCU, because, you know, we could see people for the person and not for all the biases and stereotypes that people have versus Black people.
Exactly.
And so even sometimes, you know, many people, even people of color, have been come to take on some of those negative stereotypes against other Black people.
We do.
And so that would help many people to be able to debunk some of the stereotypes that they've been conditioned with, just because of the way our society is and the way it's been brought to us. So it's just a powerful experience. It was empowering. You know, I feel also, and this is the biggest thing. If I had to leave you at the biggest thing, it would be, it empowers you to give back.
Oh.
When you hear, like, the people who taught me in school, they were the ones doing the sit-ins. They were the ones who were, you know, fighting for civil rights. They were marching with Martin Luther King, and they were, you know, on the streets, you know, with Malcolm X, etc. You know, but they all had stories to tell about what they did, and then they made sacrifices for others. And they taught us that that's what you were supposed to do, that you moving forward and coming up is not for you and yours. It's for the benefit of the broader community. And so, you know, that's something that I've taken with me, and I find it a responsibility and a privilege at the same time to be able to give back as much as possible.
So when you got here to Louisville, how did you hear about Simmons College of Kentucky?
You know what, Simmons, you know, here's the first thing I heard about Simmons was Simmons Bible. And it was like Simmons, and so it was like Simmons. But then, you know, I started learning about it, because I was like, I'm completely loving HBCU. So I want to know, what's HBCU so we can support. And so I started hearing about Simmons College, and I hear about Dr. Cosby and all these wonderful things. And I was like, hold on, you got a person here who's not taking a salary, they're doing a full-time job. And
Exactly. Because that's the spirit
right,
of giving back.
That's the spirit of giving back.
And knowing your calling. And we know that Dr. Cosby knows his calling.
Right.
He answers it on both sides and all sides.
Right.
He's a dedicated servant.
Yes, yeah. And I think that specifically left an impression on me, because that is the heart of what HBCU is.
Exactly.
It's people doing something for somebody else without wanting to do it for the purpose of a gain for your own self.
Exactly.
Like, you know, I want to leave a legacy. I want to leave something special here to improve the situation of the next group. And that was empowering for me. And so that led to some curiosity. And it's like, oh, wow, Simmons HBCU is approved as a HBCU,
Yeah.
you know, certified, bona fide
Yeah,
HBCU.
bona fide HBCU.
And
The
then,
last one to come to the family.
Last one to come to the
Because
family.
accreditation, I think we've talked about this on the show before. We've got HBCU accreditation in 2015. So that's not even that long ago, 6 years ago.
Right.
And all the other HBCUs were HBCUs in the 1880s and 90s. So Simmons, I always tell people, Simmons has a rich history, but that history was always there, but it was not acknowledged by accreditors, by even HBCU world itself. So Simmons, in just 6 short years, kind of is still a baby when compared to other HBCUs. So when people ask the question, why does Simmons not have this, not do this, it's because Simmons is still so brand new in the world of HBCUs. And even though we're so brand new, we are doing a whole lot of catching up, and we are a part of the family of HBCUs, of the 101 HBCUs, and we are moving and shaking just like other HBCUs. So I am so glad to have you at the table with our HBCU family. So what I want to ask you about is your position as the equity and inclusion director of equity and inclusion. What does that look like?
What does it look like?
Yeah, what does that look like?
Well,
it seems
it's
so
a long way away from where I started.
Yeah.
I tell you that. You know, so starting as a cook and then going into management and training people and doing tests and project management and opening new restaurants. I mean, you know, just all kind of different things.
So how did you get to the equity
and
and inclusion?
I got to that, you know, here about a year ago. I've always been outspoken about the experience of the Black lived experience in the corporate environment. And so, you know, just being a person who, you know, I don't mind sharing because that's what we were brought up to do in the HBCU.
Right.
We was here to be able to articulate
Because we were at the table.
Right.
Right, we
you
could
know,
talk.
it's like you're supposed to be at the table.
Yep.
And then when you get there, you're supposed to say something. You don't have to act like everybody else when you get there. It's okay to be you. And the ones where you're supposed to be, they'll see you and they'll value that. And so, you know, it's just speaking truth to power. You know, I think it's the big part, and not being afraid to do that. And then just bringing people around, you know, and listening to constituencies. So, you know, whether it's a group of Black franchisees, a group of Black associates, or Black leaders, you know, or, you know, people of different heritages, different ethnicities, different backgrounds, different sexual orientations, different genders. You know, it's like, you know, we need to have an environment where it doesn't matter, you know, but where you are seen and valued and you feel like you belong.
Exactly.
And that includes the fact that you identify as Black.
Right.
And so you not being Black is me saying you don't really belong here.
Exactly.
You know? And so that's what we're here to do, is to make it where everybody feels like they belong, including the way that they bring themselves and they identify. And that's so powerful that you don't have to leave part of yourself at home so you can go get your paycheck. If you're going to bring your whole best self, and then you're going to be able to bring value that's going to go well beyond the work that you do every day.
That is so empowering. Well, have you felt like you had pushback when you were trying to engage people in that space? And that messaging you just articulated?
You know what? Whenever you changing things that have been a certain way for so long, that you're always going to have pushback. Now, there's been some massively progressive things that have happened at Yum Brands and Kentucky Fried Chicken specifically, but there's been some things that are, you know, needing some work. And so that's what this role is designed to do, is to be able to highlight some of those things, create a strategy to be able to move us forward in the area of equity and inclusiveness and belonging, and so that's wonderful.
So great. When we come back, we'll talk to John about a specific partnership he has with Simmons College of Kentucky. Stay tuned.
A showcase of Black excellence. A celebration of culture and college. an assembly for all aspiring high school students. Simmons Fest 21. It all kicks off Friday, July 30th at 6 p.m. on the campus of Simmons College at 7th and Kentucky. Featuring the soulful sounds of national recording artist Jay Holiday. Simmons Fest 21. An HBCU festival for students considering and committed to college. Text Simmons Fest to 55444 to register for this free 2-day college fair.
Last night I thought back when we was in the
Friday, July 30th at 6 p.m. on the campus of Simmons College. With special guest artists
even though I try to play it off, I'm thinking
Jay Holiday.
all day long and I can't wait for Shawty to come through.
Register now by texting Simmons Fest to 55444 or call 502-776-1443.
Welcome back to this week's edition of Falcon Focus. With me again is John Mays, Director of Equity and Inclusion at KFC Brands.
Yes.
Welcome,
indeed.
John.
Yes, indeed.
Yes.
Glad to be here.
Good. I'm glad to have you here. So we got caught up in our discussion earlier. I want you to tell our audience how you have been in the forefront of a new partnership here at Simmons College of Kentucky. Can you tell us what it is? What it is?
You know, we have been so excited for the opportunity to partner with Simmons College. And so, you know, having this moment in time, I can remember it was Axton Hall.
Yep. That's exactly.
And so it was Vaughn, it was Dr. Frank Smith.
Exactly.
And we got the opportunity to walk around and learn the history of Simmons College, like in a real deep way, in a meaningful way, stone by stone.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
Feel this stone
Yes,
right here. This
that's
stone
what-
was laid
Yeah.
by a slave, you know, and so you start to
Say that,
learn
a
about
slave.
these things.
And that's some of the original buildings on the
Right.
campus that never closed.
Right, and so once you learn and you have the opportunity to learn and say, well, how can we support this? How can we support the students? How can we support the ongoing success of the body that's here? And so, you know, here comes Vaughn. Of course, Vaughn has tremendous ideas. You all already know that. I'm sure you tune in to the program all the time. But one of them was like, hey, well, there might be something with mentoring. And I got all excited about it. I was like, hey, yeah, mentoring. Because we were thinking about all kind of different things.
We were.
On how we could partner.
Yeah.
And that mentoring really said, hey, this is it.
Yeah.
And so went back, talked to some folks at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and I thought that maybe we'd have to like send out a bunch of notes and see if anybody's interested. No, the second I mentioned it, every single person, they were fighting for opportunities to be mentors. And they said, I want to be a mentor. I want to be a mentor. I mean, all I did was mention it.
Good.
And so I mentioned it to our chief people officer.
And it's not just people, it's people of all levels, but tell us about some of the levels of the people, not necessarily names, but the levels of the people who are mentors to the Simmons College students.
Well, first off, I mentioned it to our chief people officer, and he said, yeah, I want to be a mentor.
Yeah.
I was like, well, how about us doing the program? Of course. Well, I just as long as I can be a mentor.
Okay.
And then the president of our company, and then it became our chief operating officer, you know, and then several just significant leaders, you know, were just saying, hey, pick me, pick me. And so that's the part that I've really loved, is that we have so many leaders who want to pour into the students, who have a desire for the relationship. And then it's also good because how often do these leaders have the opportunity to talk to college students, specifically black college students, specifically black college students going to a historically black college and university? If you really look at that, that's very seldom.
Exactly.
You know, so to be able to understand how this group thinks, how are they able to frame life and the lived experience in the United States, that's helping me to be able to work and to be able to explain the life experiences and the lived experiences of a person of color. So it's really, as much as it's a mentorship for them, you know, it's also an opportunity for them to pour into some of these leaders and help them to broaden their thinking on equity as a whole. So I really appreciate that from the students as well.
Okay, because I know we started, could you tell us, we started the program back in, was it April? March, April?
Yeah. We
March
started.
or April.
Yeah.
We have 6 students enrolled.
6 students, which is, I mean, that's a nice start. That really is a nice start.
And we started in COVID. We have to let people know it's not a normal year across the country. It's not a normal year on our campus. Our students are learning from home, doing distance learning. So the fact that we were able to get 6 students to participate in this program is huge. I anticipate we'll do a lot better when we get back on campus. Tell me what your goals for the program are in 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
Because we start back school in fall of 2021.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see the program hopefully go forward and tell us what your ideas and your thoughts are on how we progress.
You know, I think that the number one thing you got to do is you got to keep going.
Yeah.
You know, you got to keep going. And you just see, this is what happens all too often. There'll be an exterior event. There'll be a Breonna Taylor. There'll be a George Floyd. And then over time, people have a tendency to not feel the pressure to continue the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And so everything that needs to happen could be wrapped up in this one word. It's continue. And it's sustainability. And so this is just the beginning. And so this was one semester, is a phenomenal semester.
Oh, good. Tell us
So
more.
we're glad, but the thing is that we continue semester after semester. Even if it's one student, then it'll be 20 students, then it'll be 50, then it'll be 3, however many. It's the behavior, the practice, the ongoing institution of saying, hey, this is something that exists between Simmons College and KFC. And it's for the betterment of the students, and it's also, for the benefit of that brand as well. And so, if I was going to say what I'd love to see, like in a perfect world, can I paint a perfect world? I get excited about some things. Can I paint it perfectly? Like in a perfect world, I would see Simmons students, and they would be coming to these leaders, and they would not only be getting like personal and professional development, like things that would apply anywhere, but they'd also be having access to roles and opportunities and job opportunities and connections, to the things that they desire to see, whether even if it's not in the KFC business, but they leave there connected to something that's going to better their future or accelerate their path, and I can see that happening. But I'd love selfishly, I'd love to see as many as possible of these students have the opportunity to matriculate their career growth through Kentucky Fried Chicken, because I personally have witnessed the benefit of the restaurant business, but at the same time, I've witnessed the benefit of working at Yum and Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Oh, yeah.
And there's opportunity there that most people don't think about when it comes to marketing, when it comes to food science, when it comes to business opportunities and management, when it comes to even things that we do within our operation. Most people don't know about it, and they want to know about finance and legal. I mean, there's so many different avenues where this industry can bring out the best in you and provide opportunities for you for a long-term career. So just highly recommend it. So if you out there and you watching, make sure you get connected. If you're a student, make sure you get connected to the mentorship program in the fall. And then so you can just holler at Vaughn or Dr. Muse. I'm sure he would love to get you connected, but please do. And the big thing is just that we continue, and not just one semester, 2 semesters, but it's an ongoing part of what we do.
I am definitely going to continue to push that program and talk about it and be excited about it, because I do see exactly the pathway you see, that if students just see themselves in that role. A lot of times I find that Simmons students, or students everywhere, sometimes just don't know of the opportunities. I've told people on this show before, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep. Before, I knew nothing about being a pharmaceutical sales rep. I thought you had to have a medical degree. Well, I don't have a medical degree. I have an English degree. I just was good at learning what I needed to say and pitching it and pushing and going, I think I can talk to a doctor for 2 seconds about a product and why to write this product. But students need to be introduced to opportunities and things that can open doors and pathways and future careers that will provide a great lifestyle for them and their families. And so that's what we hope to do with this partnership. So you also are a mentor?
Am I a
Oh,
mentor?
you're a mentor?
I'm a mentor to many, but this
Okay.
time I let everybody else have the fun. But next time,
Yes.
I'm getting in there.
And the reason I asked that question is someone would definitely benefit from having you as a mentor because you check off all the boxes. You went to an HBCU. You have the same shared experiences as many of our students, and you can lead them to pathways that you took because you started out in food service, and you can explain to them how to get to levels like where you are. Because
sure.
I think you would be a wonderful mentor.
Well, I appreciate
Yeah.
that. I appreciate that. Yeah. And so I take as much time to mentor as many people as possible. And it's important that they hear from me. And I think if I was going to do one thing is I would take more time personally to get to know everybody. You know, I would take more time personally to get to know everybody.
Which is hard to do because are you still working from home like so many of us? Or
Yeah,
you back
I
in
am.
office?
I am. You know, and so we're working from home. We're doing 100 different things. But there's nothing like the power of connection. And, you know, and I love people. And so I know at KFC US they would probably tell you the same thing. You know, I like to spend time with people one-on-one and, you know, just really get to know each other. And I think that's, you know, when great things happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to continuing that partnership. And I know it's going to be a successful one. So I'm very happy that you and I met one another and we're taking a part of this partnership. Yeah. But before we let you go, I still want to talk one more question. If you alluded to it before, but if you had a magic wand and could change one thing about the KFC and Simmons partnership, what would it be?
It changed one thing?
Just one
You
thing.
know what? You know what I think would be great? If I had a magic wand, I would bring everybody here. Like I would bring every single person to come through and learn the history of Simmons College.
Oh, that is
I would bring all of them through. It would be required.
Okay.
Like sometime during the course of this year, you need to come and do this experience, like a tour experience where you come, see everything, understand, get the history. And I believe that that would be as impactful for them as it was for me.
Great. Great to hear that. That is wonderful. Because as you mentioned earlier in the show, when you first heard of Simmons, you heard of that one Simmons Bible College. And so doing that would change the mindset of people, not, you know, people who look like us as well. Some kind of still refer to it that way. But if you could bring people in corporations and people at the foundations and people, and I do, that's my job, and I do as much as that as I can, but we still have to have the community at large understand who Simmons College of Kentucky is, what our legacy was and is. I mean, because future generations will look back at Simmons now and say, what were they doing? And look at how we progressed from 2015. Well, first of all, from 1879 when we first were founded to 2015 to now to where we're going to be in the next 10 years. So we need corporate partners like KFC, US, and others to come to the table to understand that we have a workforce of students who want to stay here in Louisville, in the Louisville community, and continue to uplift it, and that Simmons is the economic engine for this area, and they bring students from different states and cities who come for an education. And you can't forget about our fabulous marching band. I bet you have a story about a marching band at Tennessee State.
Oh, I can tell you a lot of them. Yeah.
Tell our audience how marching bands are a staple of HBCU life.
Oh, well, you know, they had the battle of the bands.
Yeah.
And so, you know, there would be about 5 bands, and it was as intense as an MMA fight.
Yeah.
But it was beautiful. And so I even played in the band when I was in high school, but I never played in college. But that's one of those things where I could have been part of the aristocrat of band. And so it was almost like a sorority or fraternity group. Yep. You know, it was that tightly knit. But, you know, great instrumentalists. But I think it was really more about the fellowship than anything. And then it's also about, you know, they were the ones who, you know, pumped the blood, you know. It was like the heart pumping the pride through. I could sing the TSU song right now, but I'm not going to do it. I might. But I'm just
We might
saying.
have to edit that out
Right,
on the
right.
Simmons College of Kentucky
Right.
show. But we appreciate you talking about your HBCU experience. It's what it's all about here at Simmons, and we love being here. Thank you again for coming to our
Thank you.
show.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and join us next time on next week's edition of Falcon Focus.